Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today is 1st of November, mainstream training session it is, and today we have Dr. Bill for the training. So Dr. Bill, over to you.
Hello everyone, good to see you back again. We're here November 1st, 2021. Who would have thought we'd be this far along this soon? We're heading into the month of Thanksgiving here in the USA. And that's kind of a time where we look back and go, oh, what are we thankful for? What do we have to be thankful to be blessed by all the powers that be, you know? So we're finishing up today our discussion on emotional intelligence. So let me start the slideshow here and we will begin. Emotional intelligence is basically the topic of the last 4 sessions. And today we want to focus on more an implementation plan. Just what are you going to do with it? Or how do you want to move forward with using this information that you've gathered? You've been soaking in the information. You've been assimilating parts of it and applying it in your home, your office, your business, just in your life in general. And of course, we started off focusing on what we picture the life of, you know, yourself as a person being aware of what's going on around you. And you're looking at how do you react to those things? So self-awareness was where we started off. And to step up to the next level, we talked about the second week, self-management. You know, once you understand how you react to things, how do you then start to manage your reactions? And what you do next is you direct yourself in a direction, set a goal, set a priority, eliminate certain distractions. And so self-direction was part of the last part, you know, as far as your self-development. But then you have to look outside yourself at others, how you're interacting with other people. And the first step is to have empathy for those people around you, to understand their point of view, what they're going through, what they're feeling. And if that's kind of where you are, then you're making progress in this emotional intelligence growth, from being self-centered to being outwardly focused. So that's kind of the breakthrough point for everyone. If they can break through from being self-centered to outwardly focused and understanding other people, starting to have empathy for other people and their feelings, where they are in life, what their needs are, then you absolutely are making progress. Then we talk about self-management as a physiologic understanding of your own body. You know, we talked a bit about what creates the emotional component of life. It's chemicals, it's hormones, it's things that go on in your body that physically change how you experience the world. More epinephrine, more serotonin, things that enable your brain to be on a high emotion level that cause a reaction to fear and anger and excitement and love and hate and disgust and frustration, things that set you on edge or things that cloud your ability to think clearly. Now that's the person that's got a disability in their higher cortex, this picture shows. Higher cortex means the brain. If your brain doesn't function to be able to control your emotions, then you definitely have a trouble with the emotional component. Now, the higher cortex can also be affected and be controlled. So you keep calm and relaxed, even in the face of adversity, of challenge, of things that would normally disrupt thinking. And that's the training you can go through to get yourself to stay in that stable state in emotional intelligence. So it's first recognizing it, cognition. It's altering your behavior so that you can then alter the behavior of others. They react to you. And finally, competency, meaning that you deal with situations in a way that's proper, that's helpful, and that you have what people look on the outside as a superior decision-making performance. You are elevated into positions of authority. You're elevated into a higher level in your job, your career. It often ends up in a more stable environment. A stable environment leads to promotions and progressions. It keeps longer marriages. It makes happier relationships with your family. So everything that you do related to this control issue is what self-management is really all about. Then we go into social awareness and what are the components of emotional intelligence? If you study the circle, you realize that perceiving the emotions is the first step, the green one, perceiving. And then it's understanding what they mean. What do those other people's emotions mean? And what do they portend to the future? I mean, if somebody's having an emotion to a thing that you're doing, your interaction with them, what's causing that? Then you can manage the emotions and you can change your emotions and you can change other people's emotions by mirroring and pacing, by being empathetic with them. If you mirror and pace somebody, that means that you mirror their energy, their look, their feeling. And if they're happy, you're happy. If they're sad, you understand and acknowledge their sadness or their anger. You can use emotions to control the situation. You can diffuse a situation by being calm, or you can escalate it by returning the anger. And there's lots of things that you can do in the emotional awareness arena to really succeed in the emotional intelligence game. So what we seek is harmony. We know that life balance is important. We know we talked about at some point the cross of life, family, career, self, and your spiritual basis. Who do you answer to? What sets the values in your life? So life balance is created harmony-wise, having a balance between all those forces, family, career, your own self, where you have time for yourself, rest, health. And you need to have friends outside of work as well as inside of work to bounce ideas off. If you have good emotional intelligence, then your relationship management becomes easy. But if you have poor emotional intelligence, then relationships tend to fall apart for you and fall apart for the team that you lead if you're a leader. If you're a member of a team and you have the emotional intelligence issues, then you may find it hard to fit in with a team because you're always at odds with people. So you need to look within yourself, look at your team as a whole, and see how much work y'all need to do as a group on bringing the people with low emotional intelligence up a notch. And that's the value really of this training, is to put people into a perspective of where are they on the emotional intelligence level, because we don't start at the same place. We just all need to work on getting to a higher place. But anytime you're in a group setting and you have some difficulty within the group functioning, always go back to emotional intelligence as one of the criteria to see if you can improve. So one of the things y'all asked me about was, how do you find out more about emotional intelligence? And one book I recommend is this book, by Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradbury and Gene Greaves. I read this book and I actually based most of my discussion on that particular book. And one thing that you can do as part of this particular book, you can take an EQ test. It comes with the book. If you buy the book, you can actually turn in a code and take the test without any extra cost. It's just included as part of purchasing the book. My thought is you can also find other places to take emotional intelligence tests. Some may be free online, some may be a small cost. But the idea about having a standardized assessment is that it will give you, as an individual, a pinpoint picture of where you are right now. You can study it, you can see where your weaknesses are, and you can work on them to be a better person, to be stronger in emotional intelligence. I say a better person. Most of the people would agree that someone with a higher EQ is going to function better in life, and that means a better outcome. So that's what I mean by better person, ability to have a better outcome. You're not a bad person if you have lower EQ, you just haven't been exposed to some of the concepts. So if you want to commit to increasing your EQ, you start to study the traits. So let's look at these traits. I thought this was unique, this little picture here. The person with low emotional intelligence is going to be having certain types of reactions to other people and things and events. And so you'll find these people, for the red man there, they'll be more aggressive, more demanding, more egotistical, bossier, and confrontational. Now the yellow man, they'll be more easily distracted. They'll be glib, which means they talk a lot but say little. They're selfish. They're poor listeners. They're impulsive. These kind of people are sometimes what we call passive aggressives. The green man, they're resistant to change. They're passive. They don't participate. They just sit back. They're unresponsive. They're slow and they're stubborn. You almost have a brick wall that you have to get through, and they won't explain to you what the problem is. And that kind of person is difficult to work with. Then there's the blue man. They're critical of everything. They're picky, fussy. They're hard to please, perfectionistic. Now, those kind of low emotional IQ people, you can't get things done around them because they're always trying to keep you right where you are. Don't want to move forward fast. So if you have those traits, if you exhibit those, or you have people around you that exhibit those consistently, they will score low on emotional intelligence scores. Over here on the right, high emotional intelligence people, as they grow, you'll see these that are considered positive attributes. The first one is assertiveness. Assertiveness means they take a stance and take a chance to move forward and put themselves out, and they don't hold back. But they're not aggressive. They do it with positive intent. They're ambitious. They want to succeed. They're driving. They're strong-willed, and they're decisive. In the right context, those are all good traits. They're parts of traits of a strong leader, however, and you have to take those kind of people and give them responsibility, or they won't stay around long because they want to be in charge. They want to lead. So your leaders are often going to be this direct type person, the red person. The yellow person that's high emotionally intelligent, they are everybody's friend. They're warm, they're enthusiastic, they're sociable, they're charming and persuasive. So these are the kind of people that others gravitate towards, and they want to be a friend of those kind of people because they give them good vibes. Most of the people you see that have a lot of energy would fall into this kind of category. They would be the people who could be cheerleaders and would be the life of the party. And they would be people who are good salesmen. They would be people who are good speakers because they have skills. Now, the green person, that's a positive, emotional, high emotional, intelligent type of individual, tends to be very patient. They're stable, predictable, consistent, and they're a good listener. Somebody like this would be somebody perfect to hire in an HR position as a nurse, as your doctor, somebody who's definitely interested in you as a person, who's not going to ignore what you say. They really stand out as a good listener. Anybody who's in service as a customer service representative, this is the person you want, is somebody that's got the green personality with high emotional intelligence. We call these people steadies, sociables. Now, the blue, highly emotionally intelligent person is kind of like your accountant, very detailed, very careful, meticulous, systematic, and neat. This would be somebody that's an architect, an engineer, a mathematician, somebody who really does focus on the minute details. And these kind of people are very good at jobs that don't require social skills, but they can have high social skills when it comes to certain aspects. They don't often make the best leaders or the best salesmen, but they are very good at what they do. So you look at all the different types of personalities, and you can see the focus you should have is to recognize this entire process, from social awareness to social management to social competence, all the way up to relationship management. And you want to invite your peer, the person you're dealing with, your other people in your group, take the EQ journey. You know, you as a group have taken the EQ journey going through this little series, and you have opened up your minds to the possibility that you could grow. And you've seen the possibility that those around you could grow. And I would dare say this: you're probably more interested in sharing this with other people than you are even to take the journey yourself. It's always easier to see where other people can improve than where you can improve, right? I know I'm that way. I can always tell somebody else what they need to do better, but it's a little harder for me to see what I need to do better. And so that's why we take the EQ test to get a score. And then what the book recommends we do is go through the exercises, go through the learning process that's in the book, and then you take the tests again and see how much you grew, how much you improved. So that happens. If you go through a process and understanding, and you start applying the principles at your workplace, at your home, you're going to find that you're going to be much more capable after a couple of weeks or months of applying the principles. It's a learned process, so everybody can have high emotional intelligence. So that's where I'm going to stop sharing the slideshow, come back to see you guys, and I want to answer your questions and see if there's anything that you want to talk about related to aspects of emotional intelligence and team effectiveness, anything that you want to discuss about creative thinking, motivation, decision-making, flexible planning, social effectiveness, anything that's related to this, we can talk for about 25 more minutes.
Fine, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Bill. If you have any question or if you want to say anything, you can raise your hand, and Dr. Bill is here to answer your questions as well.
Yeah, and I'll look for this information in the same places before, right? This, you want to share it in the chat room or share it on that list?
Questions they will share in the list, but I was saying if they have any question, they can raise their hand.
Yeah, we can do
Ask
that.
you directly. If they have any, otherwise I'm gonna open your sheet as well. If there is anything, I'll let you know. Anyone wanna say anything about about the presentation? The topic which we shared today, Aram? Meanwhile, I'll check your sheet of questions.
Yes, Sama, it was really brilliant. Thank you, Dr. Will. It was very, very nice. And it really helps me to understand, as in Pakistan, it's not available. Like we are not using the emotional intelligence tests over here, but this is something amazing that I'm.
Did you say the book might not be available?
Well, actually, we are facing some issue as well, that in few cities of Pakistan, there is an internet issue. So most probably the voice will not be clear, like as Iram just dropped her signals. Anyone else? I think they will drop questions, I believe, if there is any. Sajid, Shahid Hussain Sajid. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. My question is to Sir Mr. Bill Williams. Kindly share some websites for emotional tests, emotional intelligence tests that we can check our assessments there.
I'll have to look. I'll have to look for some. I don't have any that I have listed here. I went to Google and went to emotional intelligence books and came up with 4 or 5 different books. And I think there's a whole group of books that would be useful. Some of them by the author that we talked about and some by other people. So yeah, if you want to get some websites that we can look up, I'll see if I can find some for you and send them to Siddique so he can share them with you. I don't have an exam other than the one that I said is connected to the book. I do know that that particular exam could be probably taken online separate from buying the book, but you might have to pay a little bit for the exam. So okay, I'll make a note to try to get that for you here as soon as we get through with this presentation.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hussain, you have raised your hand. Hussain, you have raised your hand. Riaz Ahmed.
Thank you, Dr. Bill. It's very good, informative. My question is that can we have any exercise like meditation exercise that we can improve our intelligence?
How many exercises does it take?
Yes. Physical and mental exercise, yeah.
Yeah, these are mental exercises, pretty much how you go through. When you go through the book, you just read the book and there's examples and there's things to do in there. And then you basically you can read the book in just a day or two. You can apply some of the principles over a couple of weeks and you'll find that you move up in the score. You know, you get more able. So it doesn't take too long. It's an understanding process, and you have to really be able to check your awareness of yourself. It's understanding and be cognizant, mentally understand what's going on. You just have to be aware of your own emotions, and then you start understanding what triggers them, and then you start to be aware of other people's emotions. And once you start being aware, you grow. You have a skill that you can pinpoint what people are saying or thinking, and you understand their emotion. Now you can read body language also. You know that there's body language that talks about how people's faces, muscles work when they're showing certain emotions. And so you can study body language books and look at eyes and the way the eyes move, the way the arch of the eyebrows are, the way their lips turn. Those things will give you the same indication, body language, as to emotional components. They say that only about 30% of communication is verbal and the visual. We have computers now, artificial intelligence, and machine learning in computers with a camera, and the camera can tell us what is our emotional state by looking at the way we look at the camera. If they see us talking and see us focusing and interacting, they can tell who's angry, who's dubious. And all this is going to come down into emotional intelligence being read by artificial intelligence in a computer, able to make the machine smarter. So it behooves us as individuals to be as smart as our machines, right? So we need to be able to read people just as well as the machines read people.
Thank you, sir. Sir, kindly you can share some YouTube channel and PDF material for free access.
Are there YouTube channels on this? Yeah, I'm sure there are. I haven't looked for any, but we can study YouTube channels for just about every subject. And one of the areas that I find useful is Wikipedia and YouTube how to improve this or how to do that. You've got people teaching on YouTube all the time. You see that thing behind me, the On Passive, with all the different leaders. We're setting up something called Academy, which is a teaching platform. And you'll be able to go into Academy and select all kinds of courses. And we'll have many courses on development of the human potential, many courses on IT, where you can become a programmer. Most anything you want to learn will eventually be on the Academy. So I just throw that out to you, that that's going to be a resource that's going to start being available soon. Not yet available, but right now we're in the launching phase of the On Passive. And once we start the launch process, it will open up Academy for teachers to put their courses into Academy, so you can take courses for free or for very little. If you're a teacher, you can teach on Academy. But I think the YouTube place is probably a good place right now to find information. I'll make a note to look in YouTube and share some of the best ones that I know of.
Okay. Dr. Bill, we have a question from Burair Ali Hussain. Burair, can you please unmute yourself and say the question which you have posted in the sheet? Burair Ali.
Yes, I want to ask about that you have mentioned about emotional intelligence. That is there any relationship with Maslow hierarchy of theory? Because when you grow up, it says that Maslow hierarchy, when you grow up to the self-actualization state, you are getting self-aware. So is there any relationship, and if yes, how?
You know, I didn't understand your entire question. So can you kind of rephrase it so I can catch it? Because it sounded like a good question. Just define it better for me.
I'm gonna rephrase this question. Brad,
There
will you
is
do it?
yes, there is two things you have mentioned about emotional intelligence, and the second thing I have read most of the time in marketing is Maslow hierarchy of theory. So I want to ask that, is there any relationship with emotion that growing up to the emotional intelligence ladder, we get to the self-actualization state in the Maslow hierarchy of theory that Maslow said?
Did you say, is there any relationship to growing up in the Muslim sect?
No, Maslow hierarchy of need. There is a well-known scientist who proposed a theory that is called Maslow hierarchy of needs, and it has a pyramid that starts from
Maslow.
yes, Maslow.
Maslow, I understand now. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were talking about Muslim, the religion, or Maslow, the psychiatrist, the psychologist. I understand. Yeah, the hierarchy of needs is what Maslow talked about. Self-preservation being number one, you know, air and breath and safety, moving up to self-esteem. And they're connected tremendously as you grow through Maslow's hierarchy with what emotional intelligence is all about. Everything that's connected to the human psyche has been written about, talked about from many angles. And so the EQ model is just one model. And every psychologist of note came up with his own model, from Sigmund Freud to Jung to Maslow. So I think that they're all valid to a point, but none of them are perfect. And I think if you study all of them and put together your own thoughts about life in general, you come out with a better truth than if you just follow one person. It's a good question, though.
Do we have anyone else? Hassan, I have seen you have raised your hand many times. Do you have anything to say?
Hello.
Yes, Hassan.
One question to Mr. Bill. When we got in a fair situation, mentally disturbed, how we can get rid out of this situation by using emotional intelligence?
How can you get rid of indecision?
Yes, in a decision power or in a bad word situation got fear.
If I understand the question is, how can you improve your decision-making skills with emotional intelligence?
Yes, of course.
Okay. There's a couple of things about that. If you're a manager, you're called upon to make decisions every day. Decisions that are based typically on strong emotions. When there's emotions that are not dealt with in a constructive way, then you'll have bad decisions. But emotionally intelligent managers make better decisions in the following ways. They'll use emotions to improve their thinking. They'll see things clearly even when feelings are strong. So that's the key, is you may have a strong feeling, but you have to suppress the feeling of the emotion and make the right decision with a calm nature. You can make good decisions, solid decisions, even if you're angry. If you always keep in mind the end goal, the purpose that you're there, why are you there working, why are you in the family? You're the head of the family. You need to lead the family in a strong way. And even if the child is being unruly, you have to maintain your calm and not have strong emotion when the child has strong emotion. That's a good example. I know that one pretty well because of my grandson and his strong-willed nature. He can get out of hand sometime. And it's the same way with some employees. They can get out of hand sometimes. You've got to deal with them without you joining in their anger or frustration. So basically, don't act out of anger. Balance your thoughts and your feelings. Make decisions based on your head, not only, but your heart. Don't let strong emotions blind you or other people. If you're the manager, you just have to, what we talk about is disassociate yourself. Stand outside as if you're a person observing the situation, not being in the middle of the fray, being a participant in the fight. Even though you may be close to the situation, don't join it emotionally. Make sense?
Okay, do we have anyone else? How to... There is a question. Do we have any other question from anyone? Okay, Dr. Bill, that's all for today.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
How to learn thinkability skill and how to verify this. Just hold on. Let me ask this person to say it by himself. Dhanand, kindly unmute yourself and ask this question by yourself. Dhanand.
Hello.
Yes. Say it by yourself.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. My question is how. My question is how to learn thinkability skills and how to verify this.
Thinkability, I would think that word means the ability
Thinkability.
to figure things out, how to run through a situation, a problem, and get the answer. Thinkability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, what I like to do is put things down on paper and do a Ben Franklin balance sheet if I'm trying to develop a concept, make a decision particularly, try to go through an understanding of what the situation is. There's a lot of people that have done well explaining that, and they put together a matrix where they'll put down different aspects about a situation and take the pros and the cons. They'll take the things that are important now and start to set priorities. So you've got the level of importance and the level of priority, two different things. And if it's very important to do it, but it's not priority-wise importance, it goes in one square. Another one might be very important to do and very urgent, so you put it in a most critical square in your matrix. And some things are not very important at all, and they don't have any priority, so they go in the lowest square in the box. You've heard of the 7 habits of effective people and effective leaders. That particular book broke things down into looking at things in a matrix. So if you're looking to do thinkability, you can just get yourself a matrix box, and there's about 20, 30, 40 of them people have described about how to make decisions and how to think clearly. Putting things down on paper in the matrix will help you think more clearly. And in terms of emotional intelligence, seeing things on paper after you've thought through them, that helps you organize what you need to do to act on them. So I always feel like setting goals, writing them down on paper, and doing a thinkability box does help. Take the test is another example of a way to think positive, how to grow, improve your thinkability. There's a question here that says, how do you think positive also to deal with family frustration?
Dr. Bill, this question is from actually Zulkarnain. He will say it by himself. So it's just an exercise as well that they have to ask the questions by themselves rather than typing them actually.
That's
So,
a good idea.
Burair, you have a question?
Yes, just a while ago you have mentioned about disassociating yourself with others. So is it related to letting go, that there is another term used with that let go of yourself, let go of your fears, let go of your associations. So if it is related to disassociation, so how can we actually implement in our life, and how can we disassociate with others or with fears or things like that?
Yeah, disassociation from an emotion is a skill, and it takes mental activity to do it. You have to actually find yourself with an awareness in a situation that you're listening with an intent to understand. And if you're listening without an intent to understand somebody else, you're only listening for the effects it has on you, then you may fail to disassociate, you may engage. So, you know, the astute professional listens with two ears, one to what's being said and one why they're saying it. So it's a level of maturity and intelligence that you listen with different ears. And so it takes practice, and you probably would want to have other people to bounce the ideas off of and have a group discussion about how do you listen to somebody with two ears? One, what they're saying, and one, what they mean or feel while they're talking. So that disassociation means you can carry on two trains of thought at the same time too. You're listening to what they're saying and learning, but you're not buying into the emotion and becoming emotionally tied in. You're understanding their emotion, not letting it set off your emotions. Letting go of your fears and moving on is a part of that same dissociation technique. When we talk about letting go, sometimes you'll get blocked by fear or certain emotions. So you have to let go and do things anyway. And so in that regard, I've always talked about having 5 seconds of boldness. If you want to be a good salesman, you can always give people a piece of information that's tough to deliver. You know, for instance, the price of something that's expensive and you're selling it, you can always be bold for 5 seconds. It might be hard to keep it up for 5 minutes, but you can say, you know, in your talk to somebody and you're selling something, you say, and the cost of this is $6,500. That's a lot of money. So people go, I can't even tell people that, it's so hard to say. But if you can bring yourself to have 5 seconds of boldness, you can disassociate yourself from the fear of talking about money and just say it. And then we have what's common in sales is the golden silence. You don't say anything after you tell somebody the price or the action point. When you want them to take action, you let them speak first. Typically, you know, in sales and negotiations, the person who speaks first loses. So you always want to just kind of control your thoughts, control your emotions, and have a good listening ear. So it's almost like you're standing outside watching the situation develop when you're disassociating with the situation at hand. It's like you're the person in the ring talking, but you're also standing outside the ring watching the game, watching the match. If it's a boxing match, people going back and forth with discussion. you need to be able to step outside the ring and listening with a different set of ears, what's going on. So that's kind of the point I was making, and it's a great question you ask. One more question and we're done.
Okay, we have a question from Zulkarnain actually, if you have time. Zulkarnain, can you please say it? Zulkarnain?
Yeah, I am ready. Dr. Bill, my question is how to think positive, also deal with family frictions at the same time.
How to think positive, also deal with the family frustration at the same time.
Well, you know, exposing them to this information and having a learning experience within the family is excellent as far as dealing with family frustration. Listening to the people's point of view and not reacting to their things that set you off would be a great start. If you can ever get somebody to understand some of these fine points about emotional intelligence, you can bring them through a learning process. But you have to exhibit stability and calmness and all the things we talked about that were the good traits. If you exhibit those and they notice that something's different about you, then they're going to start being more positive and they're going to show less frustration. You know, if individuals in a family don't set each other off, then things can be developed and be improved. So that's kind of what I would say is try to create a calm situation and then bring these individual components into the family. The best way you can do it is have a group study and have your family members participate as part of a group. So you might buy the book and read it out loud in the family group setting. Maybe it's you and your children, maybe it's you and two families, and you're going through and studying this material and everybody's getting the benefit of listening and they're thinking all along. And then you could even do some of the exercises in the book. Maybe 3 or 4 families could get together and do something like that. That would be an excellent work project at a business, but it'd also be a work project in a home. So that's kind of my best advice as far as dealing with the family frustration. Apply it initially yourself and then try to get the other people to understand your point of view and learn what you've learned. Thanks for your attendance. I appreciate all of your the questions, and tell Siddique hello. He's up in Canada this week visiting
Yes,
his
he is.
friends and relatives.
Yes, he is in Canada nowadays.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Bill.
It's good to have you over again to visit with me. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, fine, everyone. I have to discuss 2 things with you. जब डॉक्टर बिल या कोई भी फॉरनर हमारे साथ होता है तो काइंडली उसको आप क्वेश्चंस पूछ के इंगेज करते हो. अगर जिस तरह आज हम लोग बहुत कम क्वेश्चंस और इतनी एक्टिविटी नहीं दिखा रहे थे, इसका मतलब है दे थिंक दे आर नॉट गुड फॉर अस. वो दोबारा आने के लिए हेजिडेंट हो जाएंगे. ठीक है, शायद आप लोगों को समझ नहीं आ रही या कुछ इस तरह के उसके दिमाग में चीजें आ रही होंगी. सो यू हैव टू एक्ट लाइक आपको अगर चाहते हो कि वो आए तो फिर आपको उसको एंगेज भी रखना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, एक चीज. दूसरी चीज ये कि आपके साथ एक लिंक अभी रियाज अहमद, आई एम सॉरी, आपका क्वेश्चन डिले हो गया. ये दोबारा आएगा तो आप पूछ लीजिएगा. इसको आप कहीं नोट डाउन कर लें. अच्छा जी, आपके साथ जो एक चीज मैंने शेयर करनी है, आई एम गोना शेयर इवेंट विद यू. काइंडली इसको आप सब रजिस्टर कर लें और जो भी आपके साथ हैं डिफरेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स पे उनको भी कह दें कि इसको रजिस्टर कर लें. ये बहुत जरूरी है. और ये लें, मैंने आपके साथ ये लिंक शेयर कर दिया है. in chat box. इसको kindly register कर दें. Everyone kindly इसको register कर लें. ये एक इवेंट है सुजन मैकॉनल का. ओके, फैसल भाई, डू यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन?
नहीं, बिल्कुल भी नहीं, कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है.
ओके, आप लोगों की लिमिट्स को जो है वो रिन्यू हो चुकी हुई है. आप अपने पेंडिंग लोगों को इनवाइट कर दें जो 3 आपके साथ शेयर किए गए हैं. बिल्ड वेल्थ 13 विद वन ऑफ द 13 स्किल्स वाला, बिल्ड वेल्थ एंड कैश फ्लो वो वाला, और एक सेल्स नाविगेटर. 3 आपके साथ लिंक्स शेयर किए गए हैं. उनको आप आज से दोबारा उसके ऊपर कनेक्शंस बिल्ड करवाना शुरू कर, इनवाइट करना शुरू कर दें. आपकी लिमिट्स आज ओपन हो गई हैं. मेक श्योर कि आप पहले फॉरेनर्स को करें, पाकिस्तानीज को ना करें. दीज इवेंट्स आर जस्ट फॉर फॉरेनर्स. लेकिन बाद में जब आपके पास फॉरेनर फिनिश हो जाए तो फिर पाकिस्तानीज को ऐड करें. कल से होपफुली, जस्ट होल्ड ऑन फैसल भाई, कल से इंशाल्लाह हम इनवाइट्स भी करेंगे. हर किसी के पास यूनिक लोग होंगे जिनको आप इनवाइट सेंड करके अपने कनेक्शंस में बनाएंगे, और फिर लेटर ऑन जैसे जैसे कनेक्शंस बनते जाएंगे हम इवेंट के ऊपर इनवाइट करते जाएंगे. ये होपफुली मैं कल तक आपको ये भी लिस्ट दे दूंगी. सो एवरीवन ऑफ यू विल सेंड द इनवाइट लिस्ट. 19 इनवाइट्स करेंगे आप दिन में, और ज्यादा से ज्यादा कनेक्शंस अपने बिल्ड करें ताकि आप इवेंट में ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को इनवाइट कर सकें, ज्यादा से ज्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी हो सेल्स की आप लोगों की. जी फैसल भाई, आई एम सॉरी आई हैव टू इंटरप्ट यू, बताइए.
अच्छा, मैंने ये पूछना था, ये जो अभी आपने इवेंट का लिंक हमें सेंड किया, खुद तो हमने इस पर रजिस्टर कर लिया, अब हमने अपने कनेक्शंस को भी इस पे इनवाइट करना?
ये सिर्फ अभी सुजन मैकॉनल का है. इसमें इनवाइट करने का अभी तक मुझे इंस्ट्रक्शंस नहीं आई.
ओके ओके.
सो अभी आप सिर्फ इसको रजिस्टर कर लें. अगर हमें इनवाइट करने को कहा गया तो हम इनवाइट करना शुरू कर देंगे.
ओके, गॉट इट.
ठीक है, अभी सिर्फ हमें रजिस्टर
ये सॉरी, जो सूजन वाली है सिर्फ आप लोगों को रजिस्टर करना है, इनवाइट हमने भेजना, आप लोगों ने नहीं भेजनी.
हाँ, अभी
अगर किसी ने करना होगा, जो फॉरेनर होंगे उनको कर सकते हैं, बाकी किसी को नहीं करना है.
हाँ, वो उसके लिए अलग से हम फॉर्म क्रिएट कर देंगे ना, फॉर्म में एक लिंक डाल देंगे एक्स्ट्रा. अभी फिलहाल आप इसको रजिस्टर करें, फिर आपको कल नेक्स्ट जो भी करना होगा वो बता दिया जाएगा प्रॉपर तरीके से. सारी बात है, फिर हमें लिंक भी ऐड करना होगा ना, कितने हुए कितने नहीं हुए.
रजिस्टर करना है. और अभी मैंने 2 असाइनमेंट डाल दी है शीट में ना. 29 और 31.
ओके, आपकी असाइनमेंट चेक होके भी रखी जा रही है. आप काइंडली उसको भी चेक कर लें ताकि हमारा जो पेंडिंग है वो क्लियर हो जाए. ओके एवरीवन, थैंक यू वेरी मच. टाइम इज अप एंड कल इंशाल्लाह हमारे असेसमेंट है डोंट कंप्लेन कंप्लीट प्लस पोटेंशियल ऑफ माइंड के जितने भी एस्पेक्ट्स हमने स्टडी किए हैं उन सब के ऊपर हम बात करें, उन सब की हम असेसमेंट लेंगे. तो मेक श्योर कि आप व्हाटएवर, और आपकी अपनी लाइफ में कितना वो कामयाब है, कितनी नहीं है, या क्या किस तरीके से आप उसको लेकर चल रहे हो, जो हमने डिस्कशन की हुई है उस हिसाब से सारे क्वेश्चन आपके साथ होंगे. कल हमारा पोटेंशियल ऑफ माइंड का कंप्लीट असेसमेंट होगी. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच एवरीवन. Take care. Faisal bhai, we have a meeting with sir right after this.
Sure.
Okay. Okay everyone. Take care.